Now we review the 2002 film Halloween Resurrection. Praise the Lord, brother. Alright, so Halloween Resurrection. Spoiler alert for Halloween H2O. I know that movie's pretty old at this point, but 26 years, I think. But still spoiler alert. At the end of Halloween H2O, we see Laurie Strode decapitate Michael Myers and finally end the Halloween series. Well, this movie takes place a few years later. Laurie has been in an insane asylum ever since. And it turns out what happened was that Michael crushed a person's larynx, put his mask on them, and then buggered off. Somehow he got another mask, and he is after Laurie once again. That's the first so many minutes of the movie. Then the movie starts. Jamie Lee Curtis's part of this movie is really just little more than a cameo. I mean, she is something of a character, but it's very fan servicey. And it just showcased the fact that Michael Myers' kill count is pretty small when you think about it. I mean, Jason Voorhees is the real mass murderer here. Anyway, so now that Laurie is not part of the picture, we have a group of people going to what they claim is Michael Myers' house for Halloween. And they're there to look around in sort of a reality TV sort of thing. I think this is like the Blair Witch era where those sorts of things were taking off. These are early influencers. It's 2002. It's not like, I don't think YouTube was around at the time, but these are early influencers doing a webisode. And, this is what's going on. And there is an underlying theme of, influencer fakeness. Influencer fakeness, the desire to be famous and find your famousness. But this particular film, I believe it really influenced Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, because it painted Michael Myers as a much more troubled youth. It shows things that implied he was tortured and things like that. And this is not at all the Myers house, okay? The house that they shoot with, house they shoot without may be the Myers. Didn't look it up to find it. The house they're within, however, is a much larger and more expansive house that people can get lost in. So it's something of a mansion. And beneath this mansion there is actually a network of tunnels. So it's a really incredible thing. And then, the whole time these people are broadcasting live, and, there are people watching live, and, it's a spectacle. It's a spectacle for Halloween, not unlike the movie Without Warning, which was also originally kind of broadcast as a real thing, or perhaps the inspiration of Without Warning, which was the Mercury Theater's War of the Worlds. So it's kind of this, is it real, is it not real thing. There are layers upon layers with this. There's, more than one mask, so to speak. All right? Kind of the sad part about this movie, I actually think this was a pretty solid movie if you shaved off the first part, which I think was kind of dumb. Okay? It would have been a great start to a very different movie. In fact, if I were to remake Halloween Resurrection, I would actually have Laurie Strode and her whereabouts be discovered at the end of the movie, so that we could have another movie, as opposed to at the beginning of the movie, basically amounting to nothing but a short film. If you can get past that disappointing beginning, okay, this film gets a lot better. I mean, one of the kind of hallmarks of these particular movies is that, they kind of feel like the villain was changed at some point. Okay? Michael Myers as a character really doesn't fit what's going on. And I mean, yeah, this does explain what he was doing for 20 years. Except for the fact that, like, why? He's a serial killer that runs around in a mask. For 20 years, was he not killing people? Because it's kind of his thing, going out and killing people. If it's not a Laurie specific thing, why is he killing the people in the house? Why is he just not waiting for them to leave? It does bring up a few questions. So there's a tonal problem with Halloween Resurrection. And that tonal, I mean, audiences kind of reacted poorly to this, I think, because it doesn't fit in well with the series. Laurie's really not a part of it. So on and so forth. But if you remove those elements, you do have a good movie underneath. If this were not Michael Myers, if this were some other serial killer, I probably would have said, this works a lot better. That's just one of those things about this movie, is that there are elements to this film that just don't fit the Michael Myers mythos. And that's kind of the problem there. Okay, it feels like originally this film was not a Halloween film, and then it became a Halloween film. So that's kind of a thing. But, as far as it being a good movie, I actually enjoyed it a little more than H2O. I mean, granted that I had to turn my head off and walk away from reality, but aren't these films kind of like that? So yeah, this is a bit above the middle of the watch list. It's not a terribly great movie. It did kill this particular mythos, and the next two films were the Rob Zombie films, which I'm not exactly sure why they did not get a continuation. But somewhere along the lines, they're going to make another Halloween movie. Maybe they'll continue the Rob Zombie films. Maybe they will have a remake of Halloween. Who knows? I mean, if I were to pick one, I guess another remake of Halloween, because Halloween was a really great movie, and everybody, would probably love that. But anyway, so that's just my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. Happy Halloween, everybody. I'm Richard. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Fred the Facehugger, and I'd like to point out that this world isn't a nice place. But you know who's trying to make it a nice place? The owner of this channel, yes. The owner of this channel does things like pay for ocean cleanup, and have trees planted, and even feed orphans in an orphanage in Mexico. Yes, it's a real thing, I'm not kidding. I may be a face-hugging alien from a horror movie, but I'm not a liar. Anyway, when you comment, like, and subscribe, you're supporting that better world, and whereas it may not make a big difference, it may be the difference between one more tree planted, one more pound of trash out of the ocean, or one child not going hungry tonight. So, think about it. Shouldn't you comment? Shouldn't you like? Shouldn't you subscribe? I certainly would if I were you. I'm Fred.